Salve discipuli. Let's talk about how to use your Latin to English dictionary. So, you first need a word. So, let's start with the word quiet. So, when you have the word that you want to look up, you're obviously going to go to the English side first because you know your English word, and you would look and see what the Latin might be. So, when you get there, you may notice a number of things. For example, quiet has um, four different entries technically. You have quiet as an adjective, quiet as a noun, and quiet as a verb, and quietly as an adverb. So, how I knew which each one of these is because when you look at the dictionary, it's usually followed for the English side with a letter that tells you what part of speech it is. So when you're looking up the word quiet, also having you also need to figure out what part of speech it is that you want to use it as so that you are choosing the correct Latin word for that. So we can't just look up quiet. We have to have an idea of what we want quiet to mean. So if I was trying to put it in a sentence like, he longed for the quiet of the sea, in this scenario with this sentence, I'm actually using quiet as a noun. So this then limits me down to the one form that I have here of quiet as a noun. So my options are quies and tranquilitas. I also have silentium and pax. Now notice that silentium has silence before it and pax has peace before it. So, what those are telling you is that basically these are words that are not necessarily quiet, but they might get to what you want it to mean, maybe better than the term quiet. So, where you would go from here then is you would most likely take a look at the very first form it gives you and you want to figure out, is this the word that you really want? Most dictionaries on the Latin to English side, when you come across that word, it only gives you one of the principal parts. So you, even if you know for a fact that it's the word that you definitely want to use, you're going to want to take a look at the Latin side to get the principal parts of the word and also to double check, is this word meaning really what you want it to mean? So, on to the next part. So, we go and we find quies in our Latin side of the dictionary from quies quietus. So, this is going to tell you how it's going to decline. We will be discussing that further in the next couple days, so don't worry about that too much. Furthermore, you find out that it's feminine, and you find out that it means rest and quiet as the first two forms of a definition. And then you need to start asking yourself, well, self, is that really what I mean by quiet? So we pull up your sentence again. He longed for the quiet of the sea. Well, I don't know that the sea would really be super restful or necessarily quiet, meaning the absence of sound. So I maybe think, hey, this form of quiet might be better used for a sentence like he wanted peace and quiet. So this might not be the quiet that I want. On top of that, as I look further at the definitions, you have repose, peace, sleep. Sleep is kind of a giveaway that maybe this is not quite what you would want here, but in addition, the word death is implied, so it's determining some kind of finality there. So quies is probably not the form of quiet you're looking for the sentence we're trying to use. So once you've seen that, you would then be like, well, if you go back to your original lookup in the English side, tranquilitas was the second word given to you, and maybe this word might be a better fit. So go and look up tranquilitas then on the Latin side. So you find tranquilitas, you find out it's tranquilitas, tranquilitatis, and it is feminine. And furthermore, you find out that it means tranquility and calmness. And then if you think about the sentence that we were trying to use, he longed for the quiet of the sea, that's probably more what you're looking for, because if he's longing for the quiet of something, it's probably that he wants some repetition or some identifiable pattern or something that is less stressful. And really, in the long and short of it is you would most likely have the grander context of a paragraph or something to help you realize this, or you have a particular way that you're trying to convey this. But in this scenario, for this sentence, he longed for the quiet of the sea. Tranquilitas, even though it was the second entry, um, really would be the better choice. Um, and that's part of the reason why when you're looking up a word, you don't want to just necessarily take the very first word. A lot of times the first word will be what you want it to be, but that's not an always. So always make sure that when you look up a word on the English side that you double check it in the Latin side to make sure that it means what you think it means, and don't be afraid to pick the second or third option. If you're going Latin to English, you may need to do this a little bit as well, kind of the go back and forth to fully understand what is being conveyed. Because just because it's the first entry does not mean it is the right entry. Okay, so I hope this helps you to see the kind of back and forth you need to do with a dictionary to make sure that you're really saying what you mean. All right, happy hunting and wale te skipuli.